So with apologies to the people waiting for the next One Piece video, I'm going to take a slight detour this month, first with My Brother's Husband by Gengoro Tagami. I really am loving One Piece. The problem is, it's one of those things that I really enjoy in the moment, and then I put it down and I have like no compulsion to pick it back up. So I'm maybe like buying myself a little time. This book, I think it's probably also going to be in that kind of area. So I'm going to try and one-shot this, and like just in today. This follows Yiichi, whose brother, I think twin brother, died, and that brother's widower has now come to visit. They were estranged towards the end of his life. He's kind of coming to terms with his brother being gay now that his brother has passed, which I like it. I like that it's slow and kind of melancholy, but also really sweet. I think also just like I kind of grew up in that very just like what the internet was for me when I was growing up. It felt like it was all things that I'd already heard a million times, which is fine. Obviously I'm not the target audience. In terms of like the purpose of rereading all my manga, will I get the second book because it's a duology? I don't think so, because I think they only come in hardback and that's kind of expensive. I do remember wanting to like read on, but also it is an expense, and while what comes next is probably going to be really interesting, I don't know if it's going to be that interesting. Before we start though, I do want to point out that this is like a really lovely put together book, because you have, you know, Yiichi and his daughter, and then you have her and Mike, and also the end papers kind of tell a wee story, and I think that's very sweet. So I didn't think that I would be stopping for commentary this early on, but here we are. I really like, it's very slow and soft, and I really like when he's kind of trying to come to like terms with what happened with him and his brother, and like the memories that are coming back. There are these really, really lovely pages where it's just he's kind of hanging back from Mike and his daughter, and it's just him and his shadow, and I think it's really, really well done. It is one of those, you know, like, well, kids get taught bigotry, and she's so open to things, and especially in the beginning there were like these little thought bubbles of things that he wanted to say or was going to say, and you know how things played out, and I think it's really, there's a lot of like isolation in that as well, which is just, yeah, I think it's strange because I would say that this is maybe very comforting, but it is also, it feels very lonely. way as well. If you know what I mean, if that's making any sense. Okay, so interestingly enough, when I went to log it on Goodreads, it says this is the third time I've read it. Oh, sorry, I'm just realising that's different from that. Which is interesting because it does, like, upon finishing it, I did realise it has more reread value than I'd initially given it credit for. Don't know if it's enough to justify the second volume. Again, it is hardcover and that's more expensive, but certainly more than I'd given it credit for. I think the little bit with Kazuya was really, really sweet, of like wanting that. I don't even saying comfort even feels like it's downplaying a little, of like knowing you're not the only one. That was really nice, and it again is tying into Yaichi's growing understanding, even though it ends on like, I think it ends in a really interesting place because it is for a lot of people very different when it's like someone else as opposed to someone that you are like immediately close to. And I am interested. I am really interested in seeing how that plays out. I would say as well, obviously this is a published work, so the idea came, it was written, it was edited and rewritten and edited, and like you and I could do that, but I like that there is some understanding for Yichi and his coming to terms with all of it. Purely from like a me perspective, I think it's like, this is definitely TMI, but like I for some reason I thought, oh, I'll watch this video on AI and I'll fall asleep to it, and I didn't, and it didn't cover anything that I didn't know about. But then I went down for a drink, and I just started crying, and like I think there's something very kind of calming about the manga. It's very soothing to read. I wouldn't quite go ahead and say it's cozy. I know that's a very contested, subjective thing, but I wouldn't quite go as far as that. But there is something very reassuring even about it. So I don't know. I'm less certain than ever about whether I would continue on with it. But we'll see. I'll have a look at Biblio or something, or some other like secondhand marketplace, and we'll see if we find, or even like Everand. I'm trying to get up to like a review every 2 weeks, and that might, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think obviously I'm on a manga buy ban until this series is done, but no, I don't think this has helped at all.